What is up, everybody? It is Izzy back again with another episode of the Q&A. So if you are a fan of the Q&A for some reason, I don't know why, hit the like button, leave a comment. You know what to do. Let's do it. Do high protein intakes in excess of 2.2 grams per kilo or 1 gram per pound minimize fat gain in a proper surplus? Indirectly and not really in a useful way. And the reason for that is that excess protein is pretty much never stored as fat. It's converted into usable energy. But then what happens is that the fat and carbs that you do eat is more easily stored as fat. And if you have most of your surplus coming from protein, you have to eat more because protein has a higher thermic effect than other macronutrients, which means that effectively it's really closer to like 3 calories per gram once your body processes it, which means that if you're getting a lot of calories from protein, you're actually gonna have to eat more calories to make up the difference in the thermic effect. So that's a problem for 2 reasons. 1, you might not be able to eat more food, and 2, protein is particularly filling and satiating. So really you should just eat as much protein as you need and put the rest into carbs and fats, which are easier to eat. Why did you switch to bodybuilding? I've answered this question a bunch, and if you want to go back to the old Q&As, I think I might have dedicated an entire episode to answering this once. But the bottom line is that I was involved in competitive powerlifting for almost 10 years. Like my first powerlifting video on the Powerlifting to Win channel was 9 years ago, and I'd already been competing for 2 years at that point. I wanted a new challenge. I pretty much saw a glass ceiling on my potential as a natural tested powerlifter, and I wanted to do something else. And believe it or not, bodybuilding was not the thing that immediately popped up. I spent like a year or two trying to find something else to be passionate about, and I just happened to land on bodybuilding because I still love training. How much detraining and muscle loss can I expect in 25 days? It's impossible to say. I mean, people detrain at different rates. It's genetics, a lot of that, but also the way you train influences it. If you train with high frequency, you tend to detrain faster than someone who uses lower frequencies. But here's the bottom line. Anything that you've gained, you'll regain faster than the first time you gained it. So whatever you lose in 25 days, you'll regain it in 25 days or less. And you recommend people to follow for the various aspects of bodybuilding? I'll just tell you who I've learned the most from, and we can go from there. As far as PEDs, it's got to be Broderick Chavez at Team Evil GSP. For nutrition, check out Stan Efferding's book, The Vertical Diet for Understanding Micronutrition. For general science, how to conceptualize hypertrophy and hypertrophy training, Mike Israetel at Renaissance Periodization. For the specifics of programming low volume failure training, check out Jordan Peters. For a good podcast, check out Justin Harris and the La Martinez. Are there any benefits to using blocks on a leg press if I can already get very deep, well past 90-degree knee angle without them? Yes, but it depends on why you're using leg press. Quads are one of the muscle groups that definitely benefit from stretch-mediated hypertrophy, and to maximally train the quads, you want maximal knee flexion, which means getting your knee as flexed as possible. So getting more knee bend is always a good thing when you're training quads. Now, that doesn't mean that every exercise has to do that. That's why some people still use leg extensions in their training. And if you're already doing maximally deep squats, you could use leg press to target the mid-range. But for the most part, getting as deep as possible on a leg press is going to be to your benefit for quad training. What are your thoughts on power building? Well, I can't really give you thoughts on power building because power building isn't some universal thing where we all agree what it is. Is power building where you're actively competing in bodybuilding and powerlifting at the same time, and you're just alternating which one you compete in? Is power building a actual powerlifter who does quote unquote bodybuilding style accessories? Or is a power builder somebody like me who uses squat, bench, and deadlift in the hypertrophy rep ranges, but is ostensibly anyway, a bodybuilder in every other regard? Again, there's no universal agreement on what a power builder is. But rather than get caught up on the semantics of the word power building, let's just talk about something far more obvious. The vast majority of people in the fitness community do not compete in bodybuilding or powerlifting, either one. The vast majority of people in the fitness community do not only care about hypertrophy and do not only care about strength. Most of you, at least somewhat, care about both. It is perfectly fine and normal to care about both how strong you are and how good you look. The only time that you need to explicitly pick just one and only work on one is if you are trying to get the best results possible in that one area. If you want to be the best powerlifter possible, you should not throw in random hypertrophy training that doesn't have anything to do with increasing your total. If you want to be the best bodybuilder possible, you probably should not be doing 3 and 4 rep maxes on heavy compound lifts. It just doesn't give you the best stimulus to fatigue ratio, right? However, it doesn't mean you can't do both and still build muscle and get stronger. There is a ton of crossover between getting strong in like the medium rep range of like, let's say 5 to 10 and getting bigger in terms of like a bodybuilding physique and in terms of getting good at the power lifts. Like somebody that has a tremendous 8 rep max squat, for example, is probably going to be decent in terms of their legs at a bare minimum, and they're not going to have a complete 1 RM either. Like for example, I have done 6 plates on the safety bar for a set of 5. My legs are pretty big, and if I wanted to work up to a max squat, I would have an okay 1 rep max. Maybe not compared to my body weight, but in absolute terms, I absolutely would. Here's the bottom line. It's possible to be both big and strong, okay? Look at guys like Stan Efferding, who both won an IFBB Pro card and set a powerlifting world record. Dr. Ben Pollock is another example, and I'm sure if he had wanted to, at a given time in history, Ronnie Coleman could have had a record in the 275-pound or 308/140 kilo weight class. So, for the vast majority of you who don't even compete in anything, you are giving up nothing by being a so-called power builder. What you're doing is going after what you actually want, which is normal. It's normal to want to be big and strong, not just one or the other. Only the people who specialize care about being one or the other. As has been a recurring theme on the Q&A lately, just because something is not optimized to one specific outcome does not mean it still won't produce tremendous results for that outcome. Here again is a great example for you. Everybody knows I do my RDLs a little bit sloppy. Sometimes there's some backgrounding. It's not the straightest knee angle that you could ever imagine, but has it produced 0 results? Look at the pictures, people. Just look, okay? So if you care about strength and size, that's fine. I'll be a power builder with you. With that said, let's do the ads. If you enjoy the Q&A, please remember to like it when it comes out on YouTube. If you want to become a more substantial supporter of the Q&A, you can do so on Patreon for $1 a month. If you'd like to work with me directly for coaching, shoot me a DM on Instagram for fastest reply. And for my ebooks, check my bio on Instagram or the link in the description box on YouTube to get those. Until next time, folks, have a good one. Peace.